Hi, welcome to Live Your Love with Alicia Doss. I have the best treat for you. One of my favorite people on the planet is joining us today, Miss Scout LaRue Willis. She is an incredible singer-songwriter, and I happen to know, poet. So I'm going to tell you why you should be as excited as I am, and then we have a really rare treat. Scout's going to sing for us. So let me tell you about Scout. This is the best bio, seriously. Scout LaRue Willis is an artist, musician, and writer, but really she's a magician, a devotee of the muse and Venus herself. Scout rides the emotional waves of life with a seeker's heart and tenderly molds each experience into the perfect offering, her songs. Scout's 2022 self-titled album beckoned us into her temple and bestowed listeners with a treasure trove of rare gems, the type of tracks to keep you company and carry you through your own peaks and valleys. Scout's upcoming album is a brewing storm on the horizon, a coming stampede that will take you on a ride and reconnect you to your deepest pleasures. Her live sets are ceremonial spells, casting cosmic rays that fan the inner flames. Be blessed by her bewitching and angelic gifts, and accept her invitation into your own remembrance. Buckle up, darling. There is so much more to come. So Scout is going to bless us with singing a track from her current album, Scout LaRue Willis, available everywhere songs stream, and it's called, appropriately enough, Mysterious Ways. Come on and bless us, sweetie.
This song is called Mysterious Ways, and I wrote it in two different parts. This person I was working with at the time asked me to write a gospel song, and so for me, this is my version of a gospel song. And when I came in to record it, they said, no, I meant with classic gospel chords, so it got thrown out the window for that project. But for me, it still remains one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And I feel really close to spirit when I sing. This song is called Mysterious Ways. Well, I wake up in the morning and I pray to the dawn that I get closer
she works in mysterious ways, and I know the Spirit moves at its own pace. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to Live Your Love. I'm Alicia Doss. This is our beloved Scout LaRue Willis.
Hey.
We have the best show for you. The best show. So I have known this woman for not enough years, but many years. We supported each other to write poetry.
Yeah.
I may be
Wow.
one of the few people who know how incredible your poetry is. I hope you publish a book one day soon.
Maybe. I had honestly forgotten about that.
Yes, good. And we did USM. No, I don't think we did. We did one class of USM together. And you're just an angel. All right, my beloveds, as you know, we always start with calling in the light. So if you're driving, just open your heart and keep your eyes open. If you're not driving, if you would, please just close your eyes and perhaps place your hands on your heart chakra, right in the middle of your chest. And just take a deep breath in and breathe in all the love of the universe. And as you exhale, let go of anything less than love, any negativity or karma. Taking another deep breath and breathe in joy. And exhale anything less. And just keep breathing in love and joy and exhaling anything less than that which is of the divine spirit. And beloved Lord God, we just now open into the light of the Holy Spirit, just asking that any imbalances, negativity, just be taken and transmuted. Now and during this beautiful, blessed offering, as we open as well to the light of the Christ, connecting into the silence, aware of the depth of love, the beauty of the blessings and the heights of spirit available to us. And just now, affirm that we are one, that we are love, that you are the beloved. And just connect heart to heart with each one present, with Scout and I, being aware of that ring of hearts encircling our planet like a daisy chain, restoring all of us to original innocence and bestowing peace upon our planet. In every way may this time together, all that occurs be for the highest good. As we open to the great archangels, to the fairies, to the deep source of nature, by whatever name you call the magic of life, call yourself into that now, knowing that truly we are one heart and one love. And so be it.
Amen. So be it.
All right, beautiful. So your incredible creative gifts, whether it's writing poetry, singing, that's the first time I've heard, but definitely not the last. Hearing you sing live. How do you court the muse? And how do you allow that download?
Honestly, it's she's insistent. You know, there have been times in my life where I think was too afraid to touch on, and not even touch on, but like really accept and integrate that was my path, because it felt so powerful inside of me, and also so joyful that in many ways, while I still didn't trust that was okay for me, I kind of pushed it away, but always music came back, art came back, everything came back to me. And then once I really stepped into it, there's moments where it's really strong. Like I'm getting songs every day. I can't not right. And then there's moments where I'm meant to just live and experience. And that can be kind of challenging. You know, I'm not someone who's like, okay, well, I'm going to sit down every day and play guitar and this. Because I could, it just wouldn't feel as good.
Sure.
But for me, like last summer, I started having muse dates. Friend of mine, my friend River, actually wrote my bio for me, opened me up to this concept where I would say, okay, every morning I'm going to go outside. I'm going to make a special little beverage concoction and I'm going to sit and I'm going to meditate and see what the muse has for me, what she wants to show me. And then I'm going to play guitar for like 11 minutes. Something really simple and doable so I could honor my word. And I hadn't written music in a while. And all of a sudden, as I said, okay, well, I'll be here every day. If you wanna come in and be involved, inspire me, and if not, I'll still just be here. It was a moment where I was really offering my devotion. And I started writing so much music, and it really opened something up for me. And so it's just it's getting out of my own way and being available to my creativity, which I think comes from being open to my own joy. Being open to what moves me when I'm in hyperanalysis, when I'm in worry, when I'm in doubt. That can make it challenging. Like there are songs that can come from moments of pain, absolutely, and intensity. But it's like not counting on that. You know, I don't always want to wait for like heartbreak to write music. Absolutely. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just an ever shifting relationship, I feel.
I love that. And I do not remember who the writer was, but they said, yes, I wait on inspiration to strike. Fortunately, inspiration strikes every morning at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely like crafting my whole life around my devotion to creativity and community has really allowed it a lot more ease, and it comes to me far more easily.
I love that. That's gorgeous. And so, speaking of celebrating the muse of beauty and joy, how do you pray to the God of joy and pleasure as a spiritual path and sacrifice being overly serious and intense?
One of my favorite things. So for almost a year now, I've been doing a devotional with Venus. And it's been a really profound, transformative process for me because I first opened up to it and I made an altar and I was kind of instructed on how to do it. It's kind of just give my opening bid to her and see if there was, a recognition of some kind. And it was this really profound moment because I was working a lot around my own concept of beauty and my own self-image, which I'd struggled with on and off my whole life. Like really being able to enjoy and embody my own beauty and not stress about it. Because also someone could be like, oh, but you're so beautiful. But I was like, but if I'm not able to enjoy it, then that would just be that would be such a shame, wouldn't it? You know, if everyone else can enjoy it, but not me. And I remember I made this altar and I had this thought in the morning, just go take a walk and go buy flowers. And it was actually this really profound experience because I went to a grocery store and there were these roses, but they were like on their way out. They were about to die. And I was like, oh, do you ever like discount ones that are kind of on their way out? And they're like, no. And this horror washed through me as I realized they must throw them all away.
Oh.
And, I ended up buying flowers and I went home and I set this whole altar up and I realized as I was sitting there, I had this fear, all of these old stories around like, when I was learning about Greek mythology in 5th grade, I was obsessed with it immediately because I love myth, I love storycraft. And she was the first goddess that like really called to me. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, well, I need to like Athena or Diana. Like I need to be taken seriously. And I'm so independent. I'm so strong. And those were what I really needed to hold on to. And I had this fear that like somehow I wasn't soft enough or beautiful enough or any of these things. And all that was present with me as I was sitting after I did this prayer. This fear of not being accepted. And I just got this moment because I'd charged this glass of water up for her. And like the voice, I'm like sitting in my closet and I'm like, you this is so silly. What am I doing? Like all these human thoughts. And then I just heard her go, you could drink. And so I got to like share in the water with her. And I was writing a love letter to her afterwards. I'm like, and if you ever don't want me to be your handmaid or whatever. And I literally felt my pen still. And the voice came through so strong. It was like, I've accepted you. You're now my embodiment on earth. And I want to never again hear you talk about yourself that way, because that actually disrespects me.
Yes. Yes.
And so that kind of started this process. So every Friday, Venus Day, I do what I call a hot girl walk, which you just walk and you look at like everything beautiful around you. Just really soak it in and take it in. And also just like be in the appreciation and like enjoyment of my own body. I buy flowers, I set at my altar, I pray, I make space. And it was like a month or so later, I was in New York and I was talking with my mom and with Rumor about this idea of like squandering my own beauty by not being in the appreciation of it. And I had this thought where all of a sudden I like was in New York, I was on the phone with Rumor and I passed by a bunch of roses and it was a Venus Day and I was going to buy some, and all of a sudden I was like, that was like the horror of the roses. That would be like me throwing them away if I were to not really soak this in. And so throughout this past year, I just feel like finally letting go of this part of myself that was so desperate to be like taken seriously and thought that the pursuit of pleasure and beauty and joy were frivolous or would get me judged, or like that life couldn't be that good. And it's like all of these things that I feel like I need to do to earn that at some point.
Right.
But it's like, but when?
Yes.
When if not now?
Yes.
And so even playing into like the silliness and the ultra feminine, like they're like swinging totally the other way, trusting that's like, I know I'm smart. I know I'm really tough. I know I'm strong. I know I'm all these things. Like I don't have to prove myself. So just like living into pleasure as the path forward.
That may be the title of this podcast. Oh my God, you've just given all of us permission. I was going to say all of us women. You've just given all of us permission to live.
Live deliciously.
Honestly, wow.
Wow. It's funny as a woman too, because when I started shifting the way I even shared myself online, it's like with like a little more confidence, a little more like ownership of who I am and my beauty, it got a lot of pushback.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think it's people who don't necessarily feel like they have permission to do that yet. But I was thinking about how funny that was, where all these industries are about like wellness and self-love and accept yourself and love yourself. But then in the face of a woman who's actually doing that, it's like, whoa,
That's not okay.
How dare you claim that you're beautiful? That's narcissistic. Which is just like, it's so funny because for me, insecurity and humility are not synonymous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because actually when I'm feeling the most insecure, I think is when I become more selfish, because I'm then wrapped up in my own worries and concerns and fears, and I'm comparing myself to other people. But when I'm in my overflowing confidence and just like absolute love and celebration of myself, what I want in those moments is to bring everyone into that and tell them, if I can get here, you can too. If it's possible for me to go from how I used to feel about myself to how I feel about myself now, then anyone can.
Gorgeous. And then you're gracious and generous and the opposite of, you know, my favorite quote on humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less.
Oof. Exactly. And actually, and when I feel confident, when I feel beautiful, when I feel embodied, when I'm in my sensuality, when I'm in my pleasure, is when I actually have so much spaciousness inside of myself. And it makes me just really want to like love other people and share and be of service.
And being generous to other women and empower everybody. But
just like shine a light. Like I smile at someone, I have like an amazing interaction with like my cute barista that I see every day. And then we're just like passing along that energy.
Exactly.
That brings me so much joy. And I'm like, that is what I can do in my pocket of the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. how do you balance, how do you prioritize being such a deeply, because I know you, how do you balance being such a deeply spiritual being with all the incredible distraction and glamour of the world of being human?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I've integrated my spirituality into the humanness and embracing and accepting and loving my humanness, because I think for a while it was this like, I must be perfect. You know, you almost swing. I heard this once. Someone said, recovery is the thing you pass through on the way to the next extreme. So it's like when I did USM,
Right.
I'd also come from doing Lakota ceremony. I was doing I'd done Vision Quest, and that was my first true spiritual initiation. And that's one in which it was so easy for me to be like, I must be perfect and strong and tough and do it great. And, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was in USM, and God, it was so soft and so beautiful and so profound. And at the same time, we were learning from people who had been doing this for decades.
Yes.
So then I'm hearing them talk about it, and I'm thinking to myself, I should immediately be like that. Oh, I should immediately know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was only after, at the end of the third year, that I got another piece of information. This is like the amazing way that spirit works, from this book I read that really changed my life, by this author, Carolyn Lovewell, called Existential Kink. And the way it helped me reframe, it's an amazing book. The way it helped me reframe how I was still using all of these beautiful teachings as a way to self-flagellate, because I was trying to just be like perfect and loving all the time.
And
spiritual and loving, and I'm always in my loving. I don't have any negative emotions, you know? And so what I learned, I really started going into this like shadowy integration space, and just being like, now, so I was like, oh, okay. If I'm judging myself for having judgments, I'm spiraling myself down.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, oh, I still have judgments that I'm letting go of, and how human of me. That became my little catchphrase. How human of me. Oh my God, I'm jealous. Oh my God, I'm angry. I'm all these things. And I would just try and bring a lighthearted energy to it and go, oh, how divinely human of me. And I started really accepting and integrating my messiness, my silliness, like all these things that I had just, oh my God, just rejected for so long. And I finally found a path to wholeness, actually by loving my embodiment. Because I think so much spirituality is about like freeing yourself from being attached to anything on earth. And I was like, look, I'm a human. I'm going to be attached. I feel very attached to the idea of the people in my life being healthy and okay and alive. I feel very attached to being healthy and alive myself. I feel very attached to so many things. And how do I not let that cause me unnecessary suffering?
Yes.
Because life is going to have some suffering. I actually think that's important. And where am I holding on to judgments in such a way that it's causing me extra unnecessary suffering?
That's just gorgeously. I told you she was a poet. Did I not tell you she's a poet? Poetess. Absolutely. That was beautifully said. So eloquent. So, sweetie, just to talk a little bit about that initiation, that adult initiation of sorrow and suffering. You know, tell us about your process with your beautiful dad and how we can support you.
Oh, thank you. That's such a beautiful offer. Well, you know, it's interesting. It's an interesting counterpoint to anyone who might see the work I'm doing now as like frivolous or silly. And it's like, I don't need to prove to anyone that via my suffering that I deserve joy. But this process with my father has been so profound, like really depthful in a way I wouldn't have expected. And I think, look, losing a parent, having a parent who's ill, it's something we're all going to go through at some point. And it was rearranging my expectation of when that would happen, how that would happen. And for a while, it was really hard for me to look at it and be around. And then as things were changing and progressing, I just realized, like, how am I going to want to look back at this time and how I showed up? And so the first thing that I really did was just lean all the way into my grief. And I think the fear around that is it feels like such a vast void and gulf. It's like, if I open this door, I will never be okay again. And instead, what I found is that grief comes in waves and phases. And so there's always a bottom to one particular pocket of it. And I had the support to be able to lean really far in and not only be able to accept and integrate what I was already losing, but this idea of becoming more okay with death in general. Because I think we're so afraid of, especially parental mortality. Oh my God, it's like so intense. And so once I was able to really lean all the way into my grief and just like empty my container, by which I just mean like sobbing and howling like a little wounded animal with snot coming out of me, like there's always a bottom to it. And there's a peace in that. And what I was able to do once I cleared that out was actually be really present with everything I have and not so hyper-focused on what I was losing.
Yes.
And so my relationship with my dad now is so pure and so sweet. I think there's something really distinct about cognitive issues, which is that someone becomes the most essential version of themselves.
Yeah.
And so there's such sweetness and so much love in the relationship with my dad. And I see him every week, and it's so profound. And there's still moments of intense grief. And I think what I try and do is bring as much of my loving and my joy like into the process with my grief, as opposed to seeing them as these like distinct parts. Like even it was just his birthday and I had some tenderness come up and I really missed him. And I had a lot of like wondering about what life would be like now if it was different. And I just allowed that to come up. And it was like I'd cleaned my container out so much that it could just like come up and out. And I really allowed myself the space to be sad. And then I was able to be really present.
Beautiful. That's so profound. And to me, what I'm hearing you saying is you leaned into it rather than avoiding what is.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, if I could have one cheat code, if I could offer one cheat code to like my whole life that I've realized, is whenever I have come up against something that feels like a fear that feels so deep, it's like, if I do this, I might die. Usually, actually not usually, 100% of the time, if I lean in all the way and just do whatever it is regardless, on the other side of that is the most profound freedom, joy, and bliss that I've ever felt in my life. In equal measure to the amount of fear I have.
Absolutely. I love that.
That's my cheat code that I would offer.
That's a fantastic cheat code. Because, you know, there's all the dictums of, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. But it's
intense.
True. It is intense.
And it's like loving yourself through that moment of being like, okay, yes. Might we die? Sure. But are we alive now and have like one tiny delicious life to like do as much as we possibly can? Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like, be afraid and do it anyways. There's nothing to fear, but it feels real in your cells. It's like, even small fears, I find if you trace them out and pull the thread, it's like, I will be abandoned.
Yes.
And I will die.
Exactly.
Even like speaking up about something, giving your partner feedback about something, like anything you have so much fear around, it truly goes to a fear of death.
It really does.
It feels so life or death.
Does.
So then when I hear friends of mine be like, oh, well, I know it's stupid to be afraid of this. I'm like, that's the first mistake right there. Yeah. Go, how human of me to be afraid.
Exactly.
Of course I'm afraid of this.
Yes.
It feels like I might die.
Right. Yes, and to give yourself empathy.
And understanding and approval. Yes. That's my first step now. If I'm feeling something that's really uncomfortable and I realize that part of me is like, I want to get out of this. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm like, I pause and I go, I radically approve of this obsessive thought pattern.
Yeah.
Me obsessing over this person calling me back. Whatever it is, it's like, I'm like, I accept and radically approve of this part of me that's doing this thing.
I love that. I radically approve of. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's I don't know how many times during this podcast I'm saying, that's That's incredible. That's beautiful. But it's really, you see why I love this girl? No, it's really true. And grief doesn't need a lot of time. It needs dedicated time. It needs fully immersed time. And then it moves through fast.
Well, and it tells you. It tells you its own cycle. And that's what's challenging about it. Like, it could hit you out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And that just is. That's the thing. It's one of those pillars in life. It just is. And that's why where and when I can mitigate unnecessary suffering, I try to. If I can give myself a break, if I can go easier on myself, if I can just be like, treat myself like my little beloved precious baby, I will. I'll baby myself.
Yeah.
I'll go, oh, good for you.
Absolutely. Because we were talking about beautiful women who are 100 or 90, and I was talking about my mother flirting to the end, and so there always is that precious inner child.
Absolutely.
To tender with.
Totally.
Otherwise, she's going to go out sideways and totally sabotage us at the most inconvenient moment.
Yeah. And I think for me, what's really cool is like a lot of these concepts seemed really vague. Mm-hmm. Like I'd hear something like, oh, inner child work, or oh, like be gentle with yourself. And I would go, yeah, but how? Right. Someone give me very practical information about that. And so I think that's something that I've been really endeavoring to do, is like literally carving out space where I can go, what do you want to do today? Like devoting time. That's why the Venus devotional has been so amazing, because on those days I'm like, I'll go buy flowers. I'm going to go get a foot rub. I'm going to get my nails done. I'm going to like lay outside. All my work was in the afternoon last week. So I just went to this little cafe where everyone is cool and gorgeous and cute. And it's like all the tables are faced outward like I'm in Europe. It's in Echo Park. And I just sat out in the sunshine wearing beautiful dresses, and I knit every morning. Oh. So it's like if I'm not making music, it's like I go to a different kind of art.
Yes.
And just switch my medium. And like that, for that week, was filling me up so much. So it's like I just actually carve out space to fill myself up with whatever it is that makes me happy.
Which again is it is a devotion. It is a spiritual practice.
Yeah. So
what is it, just to kind of, because I know our viewers are going to have this question, what's it like? Oh, but what you guys may not know is not only is this woman an insane singer, an incredible poet, a knitter, who knew? She's also acting.
Yeah.
I bet you are amazing. What's it like to follow in the footsteps of two ridiculously gifted individuals?
Well, of course, I want to show up and I want to do it well. And I think I did kind of avoid it for many years because I wanted to individuate and have my own thing, and I didn't want to do what they did. And now it's like, it feels like play for me. It's something that I was like, okay, well, the joyful calling of acting is so strong that whatever people have to say about it, whatever judgments arise externally, like, I don't care.
Exactly.
Yes. I just don't really care anymore.
Love it.
And what I did was I was like, okay, well, and if I'm going to do it, I want to be really good because my parents are good. And, I want to also honor it.
Right.
I don't want to just, well, I'm a nerd and I love learning anyways. I love being in classes. I was saying I'm no longer doing any classes for the year.
It's really smart. I'm sure you could figure that out.
Oh, that's absurd.
So I, in the beginning of the year, signed up at Lee Strasberg and started doing method acting classes. And it was just so fun to be in the exploration of it and really get into the nitty gritty. I had an amazing teacher who was talking about, you use sensory work. You're talking about discomfort or shame. And he was like, oh, doing a sensory exercise for having a swarm of bugs around you or all these different things. And I was like, oh my God, how amazing. I would love nothing more than to go through each line of a script and apply this to it. And so for me, I was like, oh, actually this is a joy.
Beautiful.
And it's not about where it will go. It's not about attaining anything. It's about that like this is another delicious avenue of play for me. And there is something honestly beautiful about finally releasing whatever fear of judgment I had if I was going to follow in my parents' footsteps, because there's definitely an external perception of what that would mean for the child of two successful actors, musicians, whatever it is, to go into the same field as their parents.
Sure.
So it was a way I was deciding to hold myself back. Yeah. And that's really been the exploration, especially of the past like 3-4 years of my life, is just step by step releasing whatever unnecessary suffering, unnecessary holds and blocks I had on myself. And just, if I can be a beacon of someone who genuinely enjoys their time on earth, who can integrate like pain and challenges and pleasure and all these things, then that feels like part of my service, you know. And there will be people who that really triggers and activates, of course. And I think I'm okay with that, because what I know is whether or not they can acknowledge it, the things that have triggered and activated me have been essential to my growth.
Exactly.
So it's like, you're welcome.
Exactly.
Which, you know, me 4 years ago was like, oh no, don't disturb anyone, don't bother anyone, don't rock the boat, always be like, and I didn't even understand what people meant by playing small. And so it's like step by step having an embodied understanding of what it means to allow myself to be in my fullness.
Beautiful.
And acting is part of that, because it's a true joy in what I want to do.
I love it. Yeah, can't wait to come. You must let me know.
Of course. Yeah,
I'm playing or something that I too.
A friend of mine wrote a short film that we're gonna, you know, because I just want to get the experience.
Yeah,
really see what happens.
Gorgeous. To me, you're an incredible balance of masculine and feminine. You know, and of course, I don't even like using these terms for un-PC, but the reality is there's different polarities, you know?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like you've lately been cultivating that muse of the feminine flow.
Big time.
Talk to us a little bit about that. And the balance.
Well, you know, I think, like I said before, like I'm in a process almost of swinging this other way in order to find balance. Because I think for many years, when I was less conscious, I was in my masculine as a defense mechanism, just through certain things in my teenage years that were really challenging, trauma, years I didn't talk to my mom, like just like challenges within my family. I hid from my own feelings by protecting myself and being tough and being strong and not caring, and honestly, like smoking a lot of weed and just trying to put up all these, because like the idea of being in my feminine, it was so foreign to me. And also I remember even at the time, the wave of feminism that we were in when I was, say, like late teens, early 20s, was very much, it felt like what was being asked was to be a strong woman, you had to act like a man.
Oh, so well said.
And it was actually doing Vision Quest and doing ceremony in that way that I actually had, because that's a very like warrior ceremony.
Okay.
Really strong. And there were so many moments where I just started experiencing a vision of what it was like to be strong through my softness.
Oh.
And seeing how much I had rejected that part of myself for many years. Seeing it as weak, seeing it as silly, as stupid, as something that would get me hurt. Yeah. And it would get me hurt and wounded. And there was so much guarding up. And, you know, over the past year, like now almost a year and a half. But yeah, since last January, it's been a huge calling of my heart to explore the strength that comes when I'm in my softness. And someone said to me that the masculine does something for an outcome, and feminine energy does something to have the experience. And I really like looking at it that way. And for me, there's something beautiful about playing in that duality very consciously, knowing that, as Ron and Mary said, it's not about being 50-50. It's about having access to 100-100.
Yes.
And so I think this time period is like knowing I have a well-developed masculine energy that can really like get shit done, protect myself, is like really firm. And it's like, okay, what does that look like from the other side so there can be balance? And being able to, even in relationship, like inform and ask for what I want. Like that takes so much strength and so much courage to not be like needless, wantless, cool girl.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, I'm go with the flow. I don't mind. When inside I'm like, please, someone like show up for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to being like, this is what I want.
I have no needs. I'm a cyborg.
Yeah, I was like, I have actually like, I'm very needy and I love it. I'm learning. The feminine is teaching me. It's like I'm integrating being capricious, being a tease, being a flirt. Like I really dimmed down my sexual energy for so long because when you're young, when I was young, I'll speak for myself, I had certain experiences where it was like someone gave me the keys to a Ferrari and didn't teach me how to drive. That's what young female sexuality can feel like.
Absolutely.
So then I get myself into experiences and I'm like, oh, that was scary. So let's shut this down. And being in my masculine is a real easy way of shutting that down, that softness. And so it's like opening up, but there being a strength in that, where it's like that part of me can also provide for me. That part of me can also have very clear understanding of what I want and what I deserve, and is willing to ask for what I want and is willing to be disappointed. That for me is like the real key. And even like, I went through a breakup of a long relationship like about 8 months ago, and being out in the dating world again after 6 years in relationship.
Oh, wow.
Is so interesting because it's like I'm a completely different version of myself. And the woman I do coaching with is so amazing, Isabella Frappier. She and I talk a lot about the magic of disappointment. And what that is like not getting hard or guarded in the face of disappointment. It's like my willingness to be hurt and to be disappointed is in equal measure to my willingness to be delighted and surprised. And so the feminine, for me, the power of that is like, I hear so many people talking about like dating or about the world, and they're like, well, there's no good people. Men in LA suck, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, oh my God, wow, you're really like creating your own reality, right? So,
yes.
And so even in the face of like, things that tap on the oldest wounds I have about lovability, desirability, all these things, I'm like, what a bountiful, gorgeous world I live in with so many beautiful, interesting people and potential lovers and experiences. And that was hard. And there were like a few things in a row where Spirit really wanted me to just like get these old lessons. And I was like, oh, the strength that it takes to stay soft. And that is feminine power to me.
Absolutely. That's just beautiful. It's a dance between making it happen and allowing it to happen.
Absolutely. And it's like, it delights me to no end to be, as my friend and I call it, and Rumor and I call it, being a sexual scientist.
Nice.
It's all an exploration and an experiment.
Yes. A sexual scientist. I want to be can I be a sexual scientist?
Everyone can. Everyone.
Beautiful. We're now initiating you into being a sexual scientist as well, if you would like to be.
Absolutely. So looking at everything with curiosity, openness, and delight. All it takes.
I love it. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Shall we go into a meditation?
Yes, I would love to.
All right, beloved. So just open your heart and all of your senses, including your spiritual senses. And again, just taking in a deep breath and letting it out with a sigh of pleasure. Yeah, it's beautiful. And another deep breath in and just connecting to the magic of life. As you exhale, that magic amplifies all through you. One more breath and breathing in love. And as you exhale, breathing out light, just seeing your breath tinged with light. Just keep breathing in love and light and breathing out love and light, amplifying the loves and light in our beautiful planet. And just be aware of any parts of you that up until now have felt like you have to be a certain way. You must be serious, staid, that you must be adherent to an old paradigm of intensity, maybe of drama, and just be aware of where that might be in your body. Might be in the soles of your feet, where you've stomped around as a toddler or as an adult. Might be in your head, in your heart, your deepest secret hurt, wherever that place is that is just bound, not allowing yourself to fully experience the pleasure and the delight of life. Be aware of where that is in your body. And just place both your hands out in front of you. And just be aware of what it feels like to touch someone you love. Could be your child or a pet or your lover. Could be yourself. Be aware of the incredible love in your hands going to that precious one. You might feel tingling in your hands. When you really feel that, take and turn your hands around and place them on that part in your body and just soak up that love. Really give yourself permission to now receive your own loving. Maybe it even feels a little illicit. Good. Just open and receive that love. And know that Spirit's hands are upon your hands, amplifying that loving healing. Take in a deep breath and receive that love of Spirit, of you. Really receive that miraculous healing. Now just be aware of that part gazing at you with wide eyes. Trusting eyes, eyes full of love, and a little bit of curiosity, and a lot of hope. Now, just take your arms and give yourself, that part of you and all of you, the biggest hug. Really soaking in God, Goddess's love, the love of Venus. Feeling it extend to that part and all through you now. Fully integrating that part of you. Bringing her into you, welcoming her in, him in. Maturing up that part that you might fully be open to receive the pleasure and the principle of the joy of life. What if Spirit said to you simply 2 words, only 2 words? And what if those words were, enjoy me? Would you say yes? So right now, go ahead and say yes out loud. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, our beloved listeners, don't think we didn't hear you not say that out loud. So say it out loud right into the shared space. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes to life. Yes to pleasure. Yes to love. A big yes to living and loving out loud. One last deep breath together, heart to heart, soul to soul, breathing in all the love present. And let's relax our outline just a little bit. May this be so. Blessed be and amen.
Amen.
Amen. Is there anything you want to add?
I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. What a joy.
Oh, beautiful.
So much fun.
Oh, and this was a good excuse just to see you.
I know.
And with a few 100,000 of our best friends.
Oh, and I'm trying to work on this. So my first album, streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere. And you can follow me on Instagram at Scout LaRue Willis. And that's kind of the name of everything, just my full name.
Which is the best name. So, Spotify, Apple Music, I did check this out. You really literally can find her everywhere. It's gorgeous.
You can buy it on vinyl from Bandcamp.
I did not know.
We made vinyl, so.
My son Danny loves vinyl.
Really?
Buy it. Okay. Yes. So, Scout LaRue Willis, you can find her first album, I believe the word is eponymous, self-titled.
Yes. Yeah.
On everywhere that you like to listen to music. It's absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
Fabulous, fabulous album. And her second one is coming out. So look for that. Definitely follow her on Insta.
Yeah.
I love your feeds.
Oh, thank you.
That.
I try and have as much fun as possible.
It's clear.
Obviously.
It's clear. It's clear. And I love your description. So, the bio on Instagram?
Oh, yes.
There's perfection. It's Angel of Pleasure.
Yeah, that is my official job title.
I cannot think of a better one for you.
Thank you.
Angel of Pleasure. So follow Scout on Instagram. Definitely go grab her current album. Look for her upcoming album and her upcoming live gigs, not only in LA, but she travels everywhere. So definitely catch her live because she's, as you can tell, you already heard that incredible song, Mysterious Ways. The rest are also gorgeous. I'm listening to them.
Thank you.
Of course, I'm going to buy your vinyl. And is there anything else you want to share?
That's it.
With our listeners? So I really do think you should start posting your poems to Insta.
I would love to. Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Start writing. It always gets transformed into songs. Yeah, but
yes, I understand.
I am sharing them, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, even like a few stanzas because they're beautiful. So I was reminding her that we were supporting each other to write, and it would be like, okay, just write a poem.
Yeah.
And then she'd like email back this like frickin' amazing poem. Like, did you really just write that? I was like, yes, I really did.
I need to go but look back at those.
Amazing. They're gorgeous. Yes. So Scout LaRue Willis, Spotify, everywhere. Absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you for having me on. What a joy.
Such a joy. Such an incredible treat. Really, truly. And I have an amazing surprise for you for next month. I don't even know if you know this.
No.
Next month, guess who is joining us on Live Your Love?
Who?
Rumor Willis.
Yay! Oh.
Yes. So seriously, they were both going to join this show.
Yeah.
And then there was just way too much to have them join together. And I had a guest already. In fact, I have several guests lined up for the next several months. And the next guest asked to move.
Great.
So Rumor's going to be joining us for next month.
Amazing.
So you must join for that as well. Again, Scout LaRue Willis on Spotify and everywhere. Live shows, Insta. Love you so much.
Love you so much. Thank you.
Yes, of course. We love you. Live your love, and we'll see you next one. Bye for now.
Bye.